Now we're live.
Now we're live on both places. Hi, we are here to answer a question that we received from one of our clients that we thought would be beneficial for all of you because it is something that we've heard from you and we've struggled with in the past ourselves.
Regularly.
Yeah. It takes a lot of reminders to remember that when you have any kind of not forward motion, that you're not actually failing.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I have become so aware of in myself, and we are seeing a lot in the containers that we hold with our private coaching and our membership community, there's this opportunity to forget that once you've leveled up, whatever that means to you.
Well, you gain skills.
Yeah.
And you start doing some new habits.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you level up in your self-care or in your work or just in life in general, we kind of feel like we've learned the lessons, and so we don't need to carry them through and apply them to new information. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I have really taken on for myself, reminding myself all the time is, yes, I knew how to do this a while ago, but now there are all these new things that I know, and there are all these new situations that I'm in, and those same questions are still valid and still apply, and I still need to consider them because now I have all of this new information in front of me that I've never had to learn before, or I've never had to interact with before.
Right. So it's also it's similar to if you're at all familiar with grief and the grieving journey. When you lose something or someone in the next season of life, when you have taken those lessons, unfortunate, but true, you take that wisdom and you take just your life experience and you move into another season of life, even if it's just that you happen to be 10 years older and you've been paying attention, you are going to have a different awareness of that loss or that relationship or that experience than you did in the moment. And the same thing happens when we're developing skills to deal with recovering from perfectionism, recovering from burnout. And so this is the question that our client asked. I feel like I've been back at the starting line for months, a few steps forward and many more back. My brain has a good idea of what to do, but I'm really good at playing hide and seek as well. Let us know if this is you, because this is the frustration that we regularly have as recovering perfectionists, because this is part of the wiring. This is part of what happens when you have a history of over-intellectualizing your feelings, and also you've been taught to not identify or address your needs, and instead, what do other people need from you? And so whatever you had gained momentum in doing now is pushed to the side because these other people need you, or you are expected to do A, B, and C.
Well, and that over-intellectualizing, that was something that I drove my therapist crazy with because it was so understandable. Like, I understand A plus B equals C. And still, you can understand the fuck out of something, but not actually know how to embody or do anything about it, or feel like you're so trapped that just because you know it doesn't mean that it's actually true. And I think that is something that we all go through, and it was a very, very long journey for me and my very hardworking therapist to help me understand that.
Well, and this is the problem, and if you're here, you're probably going to be relating to this. When you're smart, like when you've done the work to intentionally increase your intelligence, which if you're in our community, you tend to be an overachiever. You seek out ways to be smarter, to do the research, to find the experiences and have them so that you have as much information as possible so that nobody finds out that you're human.
Right.
What happens is we can talk about it so intellectually, we can talk about it so academically and so smart that we can convince other people and ourselves that, well, I know exactly why A plus B equals C, and
I know all the words.
That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
And so she goes on to say, I ask what I need or want all day long, but I rarely get answers. I practically stopped even thinking about applying nervous system regulation techniques, and when I do think about it, I'm met with much resistance.
Really quickly caveat on this. Our asking what you want and you need is something... Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Asking what you want and what you need is something that we ask our clients to do all the time. And so when she says, I ask for what I want and I need all day long, she's asking herself, because that is one of the things that we teach in our membership community. It's one of the things we teach our private clients, so that you can come back to yourself, so that you can then get in touch with what's actually happening and where you might want to be going.
So I'm going to invite you to consider this right now. When was the last time you asked yourself, what do I want? Like, what do I want to do right now? Not what do I need to do? What has to happen today? What needs to get done? But what do I actually want? What do I need? I can answer this for you. You haven't, because you haven't been taught that. You haven't been taught, neither have any of us been taught to ask, what do I need? You're constantly being demanded and expected to react and respond to what the world is asking of you, what your family needs from you, what your partner, your kids. And if you are a mother, that is always something that you're supposed to do without thinking about yourself. The ultimate compliment to a mom, for that generation, not this generation, is she's so selfless and so just always there. She's just so available. And this is why so many of us have mothers who are just out of their minds, because they have never had the opportunity to ask and then honor what they actually want and need. So it's the very first step in our 5 pivot system, to identify, what do I want, what do I need, and get comfortable figuring out how to answer that question, because this was really hard for me. I was in bed unexpectedly for a couple years, and that first month where I had lost both my businesses and I didn't know what to do with myself because I couldn't physically do anything, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I just knew I didn't want to be laying in bed. And so it was a brutal journey to be asking myself that when I physically couldn't do anything to keep myself busy like I had been for so long. What do I want? What do I need? I want to not have lost my businesses. I want to have not been in bed. But identifying that in advance is something that's really important, and it's so challenging if you don't have the encouragement and the support to do so.
Well, and one of the problems and the shitty end of being a perfectionist is, if you ask yourself, what do I want, what do I need, you're looking for the perfect answer. And you're not just looking for the perfect answer, you're looking for the most impactful, how can I shine kind of answer, rather than like chocolate cake. Like, that's fucking, so that in this conversation is something I want to ask you to give yourself permission to do, is if you are listening along and you are going, oh shit, maybe I do need to figure out what do I want and what do I need, like, dial your expectations back to almost a 0. Because the truth of the matter is, we've never been asked to consider that for ourselves. But if we have been asked to consider that for ourselves, we've never been given permission by anybody for it to be low stakes. As perfectionists, we are always asked and primed to go the extra mile, to go like 1,000,000%, rather than just be like, fucker, I want to live in pajamas today and eat chocolate cake and binge watch Pretty Little Liars. Like, that is what I desperately want. There's a second half of that question, which is, what do I need? And that's a whole nother story. But as perfectionists, please give yourself permission to be able to say, I don't want anything huge. I just want this tiny little thing. No matter how inconsequential it is to other people, you wanting it is enough. And that's something that is so hard to wrap your head around.
Well, and it's so hard for those of us who have been taught and encouraged to have these big, huge, audacious goals.
Don't say it.
I'm not going to say the hairy part.
Well, you just ruined everything.
But we've been encouraged to, like, you can't play small. You're going to miss out on your potential. You got to achieve. You got to strive. You got to drive and go. So when we start asking our clients, like, what do you want? What do you need? They have the same reaction that I did. I want to have an impact on the world. I want to have meaningful impact with my family. I want to leave a legacy. I want all of these things. Yeah, but that's great. You can't do any of that if you are not capable of taking care of your needs right now. And so you have to be willing to acknowledge and identify, what do I need right now? This comes down to like the physical needs. Like, I need a sweater. I need water. I need to stretch. I need to go back to sleep. You don't have to even do anything with this information yet. We encourage you not to do anything with it right away, because it can get a little overwhelming, but just the practice of asking yourself, what do I want? What do I need? Is a game changer for those of you who are so used to responding and reacting to the outside world. And it is going to challenge your perfectionism patterns significantly to identify what you want and what you need, and realize, oh, I need a hug.
Right.
Or
I need to pee because I've been sitting at this goddamn desk for 8 hours.
I need these little things that are just human experiences that you probably haven't had. I need someone to just tell me it's going to be okay. I need someone to tell me what to do because I'm tired of trying to make all the decisions. And so in this conversation, in this question that we were asked by our client, we one of the things she says, when I do think about it, I'm met with much resistance. Even coming up with a teensy easy step to take is more than my brain often wants to work. I'm distracting more than actually taking care of myself, just killing time many days. I'm not sure what to ask. This is a common challenge for so many of our clients when they first come to us. They don't book clarity calls because they don't even know what to ask. I just know that what you say makes sense to me, and I hate what's happening right now. I'm not sure what to ask. If I don't know what I need or want, how do I even formulate a request? And this is a common experience for those of you and those of us who have been in burnout and are dealing with perfectionism recovery, because your brain is moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour, also not making any sense because your nervous system is constantly activated. So if you are activated, all your thoughts are going to be hurry, hurry, hurry. To do what, you ask?
To where?
We don't
Nowhere.
know. And so you have to practice nervous system regulation to get to a place where you can actually ask that question and get an answer that you can even make any sense of and honor and acknowledge as a thing that you may want or need. The nervous system regulation practices are things you have to do before you are actually in the crisis mode that you end up finding yourself in probably by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon in terms of your anxiety.
So if the question is, I don't know what to ask, and if so many of you have ever felt like that or feel like that, the answer is the path of least resistance to a regulated nervous system. So there are a number of ways you can regulate your nervous system. Tasha and I put together a really, really short, what would you call it?
It's a anti-challenge. It's a 10-day anti-challenge.
It's a 10-day anti-challenge where we give you 10 nervous system regulation practices that you can do in under 5 minutes, pretty much from everywhere, but depending on which one you pick. The reason why I'm saying that is, if you know there are a lot of nervous system regulation practices out there, but you're so overwhelmed you don't know what to do, that still becomes a problem.
Hey, Lily.
And then you're not able to regulate your nervous system, and so now you're swirling in this tornado of, I'm a piece of shit, I can't even regulate my nervous system if I know that's supposed to be the thing that's going to help me.
And I know that's going to help me.
But I can't bring myself to do it. And so the thing that we encourage our clients, and the thing that we specifically encourage this client in this Q&A call, was, what is the easiest thing you can do on a regular basis so that you know you've taken care of yourself? Because a big part of this is over and over and over again showing up for yourself so your body and your brain know that you're trustworthy. And so maybe it's every single morning when I get up out of bed, I'm going to put on this fucking kick-ass playlist that gets me in a headspace that makes me feel good about myself. Or maybe every single day when I get out of bed, the first thing I'm going to do is write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. And I'm going to walk the hell away and I'm going to go to my regular day. So many of our clients and so many people we talk to feel this urge to change, evolve, grow, make whatever the pain is stop. And they feel like, because of what everybody's been telling us for so long, that the answer is a complete and total fucking overhaul. And you've got to start at 6 a.m. and you can't stop until your head hits the pillow at night. And the reality is, just do one small thing to show yourself that you're showing up for yourself. And that action will ride you through for the rest of the day, because at the end of the day, you can put your head on your pillow and you can say, this whole day was potentially a fucking shit show. But at least this morning, I showed up for myself first before I showed up for anybody else. Even if it was just writing one thing down, even if it is picking up a journal and writing a smiley face to yourself, that's something. And that's the step that you can start taking to be able to then say, I now know what to ask. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to get it, but I at least know what I'm going to ask. And breaking this thing into small parts, one tiny step at a time, is how you get yourself to a place where you can start looking inward and going, oh, what I really do need is a foot rub. Like, I can't walk from here to there without feeling absolutely in pain. That's the thing I need. And you didn't know that before because you weren't actually in tune with your physical body in the first place.
We're not going to go down the path of what disassociation is in this conversation, but it is an important part of looking at perfectionism and the 4 P's of perfectionism. And if you're new to this conversation, the 4 P's of perfectionism are people-pleasing, productivity-based self-worth, also known as overachieving, procrastination, and pickiness, rigidity. And when you are having, most of you have experienced all 4 of these.
I just forgot something. Go ahead.
Is it relevant to this, or is it like a grocery list?
I don't really know. Just keep going.
These 4 P's, you'll see that in your life you have probably disassociated. You probably have projected on someone. You probably have what is the word? you bulldozed over your own needs to be able to help someone else because you had learned, you had conditioning earlier on in your life somewhere that your needs are not as important as somebody else's around you. A lot of us learned this in childhood. Some people, what we've seen in the comments talking about, this was actually a teacher in grade school or this was a neighbor, but regardless of it, your nervous system is developing from when you're little, all like in utero, before you even become a person. And it is absorbing information, it's absorbing energy and stress. And as you get older, as you gain more experiences of things being hard, of things not being safe for you, your perception of it is not safe, you learn how to do these perfectionism patterns. Nervous system regulation helps bring the truest you back online and puts that survival mode away. The question originally was, I know all these things, I feel like I'm regressing. Basically, what the fuck is wrong with me? And the reality is there's nothing wrong with you. That's actually a very normal part of coming out of perfectionism and out of burnout recovery. It's not going to ever not be that way. You're always going to have 5 or 10 steps forward and then a couple steps back. And sometimes when life is hard, when shit, like the perfect storm of outside things and family things and money things and business things all come together, you do feel like you go all the way back to zero, but you're not, because you know more at that point of zero than you did before. Your body has had some practice. If you've been doing nervous system regulation practices, you know that this is a survival mechanism. This is my survival brain running the show, thinking about all these catastrophes and how I'm a piece of shit and how I don't know how to do anything and I'm always going to feel like this. And so as soon as you do some nervous system regulation, you dance for a couple of songs and get it out of your body, you do some breath work, all of those things are going to get you back to, oh, I actually can handle this. I'm more prepared than I've ever been. And you start over again. It is absolutely never going to be the case that you move out of burnout or perfectionism without having some regression, because your body is getting used to doing a whole new thing after decades of doing something else.
Well, and as you evolve, you're going to... So right now you have coping mechanisms. Whatever they are, you have them.
Good, bad, and different.
Right. You've got them. And so, like, I drank like a professional for like 18 years.
You were very professional.
And I was really good at it. That was one of my coping mechanisms. I have since released that coping mechanism, but as is everything, I created a vacuum and it filled, and now I have different coping mechanisms. And and they're not nearly as toxic or violent inside of my body, but there's still things that I lean on. As I evolve, I'm letting some of those go. As I evolve, things look scary to my nervous system. They're like, fuck that. We're going back to this most recent coping mechanism so we can feel safe. As long as you are staying present with yourself, and as long as you are regularly coming back to yourself and asking the question, what do I want? What do I need? A regression in like progress is absolutely what's supposed to be happening. If you are constantly just on a train of moving forward all of the time, you wouldn't actually have the ability to process what you want and what you need, because there would be no level of neutrality.
That was my life. Driving hard and fast, 1,000,000 miles per hour, no stopping to actually acknowledge what was working, what wasn't. Just keep on adding, keep on saying yes, keep committing.
Right. And it didn't go well.
Didn't end well.
And so when you don't know what to do, when the question is, I don't know what the question's supposed to be, how the fuck do I feel better? How can you, in the smallest, easiest, path of least resistance way, come back to yourself and ask yourself the question, now that I'm here, what is the smallest thing that I could possibly need? What is the smallest thing that I could possibly want? And then just sit with that. Because taking action is the next step. But if you're not even comfortable of how to ask yourself something, expecting yourself to ask the question and have an answer is a perfectionist way to get you just back into bed. And so recognizing that the first step is just acknowledging the fact that you have wants and needs, so that you can then start to look for the ways in which you can fulfill them.
And it's going to need to be small ways, which is not something you want to hear as a perfectionist. You want it all or nothing.
And it doesn't feel comfortable as a perfectionist.
It does not.
It's not the fun, shiny, oh my god, this is going to fix all my problems kind of answer. It's, I don't know why, but I need a cold washcloth. Like, what the fuck is that going to do for my bills? It's going to help you be able to look at your bank account and not have an anxiety attack. Mm-hmm. And so recognizing that these small little things are the foundations for you to be able to actually stomach the stuff that's bringing up all that anxiety and bringing up all that frustration, that's the foundation. Like, that's the magic key, is getting into the small stuff with path of least resistance.
I want to acknowledge this client initially as an overall statement, because she is in our village community. She's in our membership. And I know there are many people who are in environments where they maybe could ask a question. They could maybe say, I don't know what to ask. And they often don't because they don't feel like they can. They don't feel safe that they can. And one of the things that's really important to us is that there is no stupid way of showing up. There's no wrong way of showing up in our spaces because your full human experience is crucial for you to be able to start feeling safe to be fully expressive. We've all learned there's the right way and a wrong way to be you, and that's bullshit. And so the reality is being able to say, I don't even know what to say, I don't even know what to ask, but I'm just feeling uncomfortable right now is huge. And it's something that you need to make sure that you're in an environment to be able to do that, because otherwise you're going to stay stuck. You have to be able to say to other people, I don't feel like myself today. I don't feel like I'm able to do the things that I used to be able to do, and I want to be able to have a different experience than I'm having right now. And a lot of us did not and do not. A lot of you don't have that situation now.
And this client being able to ask that question is really truly a beautiful way of illustrating what it is like to show up for yourself. Being able to say, I know something is missing and I don't know what it is, help. That is her being able to say to her nervous system and her body and her soul, we're finding a way to take care of this. Whatever this is, we don't know what it is, but these people do, or they have a resource that might help me get there. And that is a really, really lovely way of showing up for yourself when you don't know what to do. Being able to just ask the question, how the fuck do I ask the question, is the first step into all of the next things, which we've been working with her for a really long time. And it's lovely to watch her grow in this way because she keeps coming back and showing up for herself, which is incredible.
And so many of us have a hard time doing that before now. One last thing about this. If you are struggling with identifying the question, you're struggling with identifying what to do for yourself, the very first thing you can do is understand that your nervous system is the one that's running these looping thoughts. You have to separate these what feel like chaotic and crazy thoughts from who you are. They're not who you are. And so when you start having anything that is negative about you is not true. It's just not true. It's a false story that you have learned to tell about yourself because your anxiety and your survival mode has been running your mind so long that you don't know how to differentiate between your authentic voice, your inner wisdom, and the anxiety. So when you start saying, well, I can't ask that because that's stupid, or I can't tell anybody that because I'm going to look like an idiot, that's the Achilles heel of being a perfectionist, is feeling like you look like an idiot, is worried about getting humiliated or criticized. That is the thing that is keeping you back from growing and feeling like you can be safe in your own skin to ask a question that is a normal, very healthy human question to ask. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Welcome to being an adult. All of us were lied to. Nobody knows what they're doing. And so we're all just trying to help each other out. We can't help each other out. We can't be there for each other to support each other in this experience of being on a life journey that we're supposed to be doing together, because humans are meant to be doing this together, if we don't allow each other to feel safe. And that comes from creating safety in the spaces that you're in the relationships you're in, and letting them know that whatever you are, however you are today, I'm willing to hold space for that. I'm going to hold my boundaries, but I'm going to hold space for you to be your full human self. And there's no judgment in that.
Boundaries like a motherfucker.
Boundaries are our shit. Okay, so if you have any other questions following for this, please let us know. We will be having our announcement on our news feed and on our stories very, very soon. If you haven't already checked our stories, make sure you've checked our stories today, because we have shared a little bit of an update of what was delaying our announcement today. And if you have other questions about anything that we have said in today's live, shoot us a DM.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll see you soon. Bye, friends.
Bye, everybody.